to another episode of the GioMoShow. I'm your host, Giovanni Mosheri, and as you can see, I am not alone here in the back room of the WXOU studios. I have a wonderful guest for you guys here today. I went fishing for a guest, and I got a big one here today. It is the reigning Horizon League Women's Basketball Freshman of the Year, Brooke Quarles-Daniels. Brooke, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So I want to mention this first. This is like right away. This is the one I want to ask. Do you notice me in basketball games? Do you notice me in the front row?
I do notice you. Yes, I do.
Okay, that makes me feel so much better. And am I doing a good job? Do I cheer loud enough? And...
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
I have so much fun going to your guys' games and when I'm not working them, because that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I like covering the games, but I like being there too, man. Like, you see how much fun I have. It's awesome.
Yes, we appreciate you being there.
Of course.
Thank you.
And I guess that kind of leads into the next question, more of like a general question for athletes in women's basketball. It's not hard to tell that besides me, I guess, the audience in the arena isn't the same as it is for the men's team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious from your perspective, like, how does that, like, does that bother you guys, or are you guys like cool with it? I'm just curious, like, how you guys see that.
Obviously, as women's athletes, we want, the same crowds as men athletes,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't affect my play at all. It doesn't affect our team's play at all. But, when you have that home field advantage, you want, people from your hometown there. And I feel like definitely we've had a bigger support crowd than we've had before. And, I just try to encourage any Oakland natives to come out, any people from Macomb, all types of places around the area.
That's right. And you are a Macomb native, as we were talking about off air.
Yes.
I'm also a Macomb native. So every time Kevin Beers is the PA announcer, who I also had on the GioMoShow, so go check that one out. It's one of the longer interviews. But, every time he says Macomb, I'm like, let's go, let's Macomb Magic, baby. I love that. I go nuts with that. And I actually, I didn't mention when we were off air, but I actually graduated with Cam Grant.
Oh, okay.
I was digging through, like, I never met her, I never saw her or talked to her in high school, but I was digging through my yearbook for some reason, and I go, wait a minute, she's right there.
Yes.
Like, right there in the bottom of the page, ironically, next to Alexis Grammatico, who right now is in Green Bay for the softball team, competing in the Horizon League tournament. So I'm looking down, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was completely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of going chronologically with your career here, I kind of want to know the story of Brooke Quarles-Daniels. So for you had, or let's go even further back than I was about to go. Where and how did you start playing basketball? Like how old were you? Like, how did you find basketball to be your sport?
Honestly, my parents have always put my brother and I in a lot of sports. I did martial arts at one point.
Oh, wow.
I played baseball with boys up until I couldn't play with them anymore. I played softball up until my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
I always played basketball, but I did favor softball a little bit more. I'm not sure why, but as I started to grow, probably when I was in first grade, that was when I met Jermaine Jackson and the Jackson family. He just took my game to a whole nother level. Like, he's more than a mentor to me. I remember spending countless days in the Jermaine Jackson Community Center playing with Jeremiah Jr., the junior, Jermaine Jr., there's a lot of basketball players Jermaine has trained and shaped them, Dee Dee Hagman. He definitely brought my game to a whole nother level. And, like, with him and also my grandfather, he's the reason I changed my name, actually. Hyphenated Quarles-Daniels. Yeah, because he didn't have a boy.
Okay.
So I just remember he would make me dribble up and down our street for hours, working on my left and right hand. He's always at the games by my mom. I did like playing softball up until my freshman year, but then I caught myself, I'd get out of a game, have to rush, put my basketball stuff on.
So you would play them at the same time,
having
to go from one to the other. God.
And it's just I ended up joining the Michigan Crossovers, which is part of the EYBL. It's pretty much the top league in the nation for women's basketball, men's basketball too.
Not a big flex, but okay.
Yes. They're sponsored by Nike, but I was coached by Coach Coop, Coach Jessica, Coach Brown. She's on Detroit Edison's team, and Coach Emez. They've also they took my game to another level too, you know, teaching me what to expect at the college level. Playing on the EYBL, it definitely was not for everybody. Like, that was probably, I mean, it was the most competitive that you can ever get. You know, we were playing girls who were 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". Like, all of the girls who are dominating women's college basketball now, like, I've seen them. I've been, you know, I played against some of them, but they're still the younger ones. Yeah. But playing for the EYBL has definitely helped improve my college game because the games were so intense, our practices were so intense, and it was all really to shape us into becoming the best players we can. Coach Emes has put hundreds of girls through D1 collegiate basketball. Same thing with Coach Brown. You know, Jermaine, my trainer, he's taken people to the pro level.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I think pretty much what helped me was being around positive people and experienced people, because my mom did a lot of research when it came to training and stuff like that, because a lot of people like claim that they're trainers, but a lot of them don't know, like, you know, how to take your game to the next level. And Jermaine, he really knows what he's doing. He's helped me with my shot. He's helped me mentally, physically, how to get ready. You know, he's in Charlotte right now, but he's always there for me. Whenever I call him, he's there. And pretty much just my basketball career was definitely shaped with foundation and having the right people around me.
And it seems to serve you well here at Oakland. But I want to talk about your time at L'Anse Creuse North, because if you look on your Golden Grizzlies profile, your high school accolades is 24 items long.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I saw that and my jaw dropped, some of which including 2022 Detroit News, Detroit Free Press, Michigan Associated Press, all-state team, first team.
Yes.
As well as having the record at L'Anse Creuse North for points, assists, and steals. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, like, what can you tell me about your time as a Crusader that kind of helped you become a Grizzly?
My time as a Crusader, I definitely went to LCN not only to stay at home, but I also wanted to make something for the community there. We're not necessarily known as a powerhouse sports program. You know, Dakota's known for that.
Yeah, a little bit.
But my brother and I always wanted to make an impact in our own community. Mm-hmm. And definitely what helped me with LCN was just constantly working. Sometimes you have to sprout on your own to be ready for the bigger stage. And it's easier to, you know, transfer schools, go to powerhouses. But I feel like me staying at LCN definitely helped progress my game, because I was able to understand how to handle game situations and things like that.
Yeah, having those kinds of minutes, I'm sure you're exposed to a lot of different scenarios. So I'm sure it was a big help.
Yes, it was.
So for getting from LCN to Oakland, what was the recruiting process like?
The recruiting process was it was stressful, but, like, you also have to enjoy yourself. I was one of the classes, like, the main classes that got hurt by the transfer portal in the COVID year. So, like, a lot of schools were looking at me, but, like, as soon as that transfer portal opened and the COVID year was granted, a lot of coaches, you know, and I can't blame them, but they wanted to use a scholarship for an already collegiate athlete. I was being recruited by a lot of, you know, Xavier, Penn State, North Dakota. I was recruited by West Point. But the thing that stuck out for me as Oakland was that it was close to home. And, you know, with a lot of things going on in the collegiate level, I wanted to make sure that I was close to home so I can also have that support system while competing.
You can't take the Macomb out of you. I feel that.
Yes, and plus Coach Tungate has been recruiting me since I was in 8th grade. Him and the whole coaching staff, Keisha, Coach Crystal, all of them. Yeah.
I never got recruited. I swam at Dakota and barely made the Macomb County level, let alone Miscos or States. So I never learned the recruiting process like more in like a logistics way. So when you say that Coach Tungate was recruiting you in 8th grade, like, does that mean like he was at games or he was talking to your parents? Like what is it like? I guess in that sense.
Most coaches, they do come to your games, but like when he first started recruiting, there's only so much that you can do. So They started coming to my games a lot, like my junior, senior year, but we always kept communication, like calling and texting and stuff like that. With the recruiting process, it's very important to build a relationship with the coaching staff, and I've had that with them for a long time.
So once you finally graduated from LCN, I'm sure it was kind of more of a shoe-in.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So does being recruited like that early put a lot of pressure on you when you're playing?
No, not necessarily. It's just like, I'm here to play basketball, and most coaches, they understand that, and you just have to understand and know what you're looking for in a program as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now finally getting to the Oakland basketball side of things. You've been one of the stars of the Grizzlies squad, and I've seen enough of the games to know that. And for you playing now at the collegiate level, like you were saying, that when you were younger, you would play against some really tall players, and you sitting only at 5'6", let's say, you could tell on the court that there's a big size disadvantage. So I'm curious, how do you play around that? I'm sure there's a lot of practice for it, but like, what do you do to kind of work around that?
I've been raised playing with boys. My brother's 6'7", so
okay, yeah.
Really, it's just having a heart of a lion. Size, you do have an advantage, but it's really just you have to capitalize your advantages against other people and other teams. For example, quickness and being able to understand the game, like IQ-wise. Mm-hmm. A lot of taller people, it doesn't necessarily mean they can rebound. You have to know when the ball is dropping, what side of the ball what side of the rim it's gonna hit, where it's gonna bounce off. The size disadvantage only affects me, I guess, when I lose concentration. But that vaguely happens because a lot of the times, when we go through film and stuff, mm-hmm. She's, such and such, she's a shot blocker, and this and that. And I've always been playing against people bigger than me. So
just kind of business as usual for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that hasn't stopped you from, collecting 19 rebounds against Northern Kentucky.
Yes.
I think that game, I know you set like 3 personal bests in that game. It was... you had, I think, 20 points, 19 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Yes.
So that heart of a lion like really comes through with the rebounding, mm-hmm. and to me that was awesome to watch. It gave me hope when I'm playing against my cousin who's like 6'3" or whatever.
Yes.
So as a freshman, so we know that that Jack that Brand Beatty was the captain of the team. Senior has been there for a while. So for you coming in as a freshman and being one of those stars on the team, I'm curious how that dynamic works for in terms of like you in like a leadership role only as a freshman. I'm curious, kind of walk me through that kind of dynamic with the team. Yeah,
so when I first came here, I was really just playing my role being a basketball player. Jack is a great leader. I can't even think of a flaw with her. She's somebody that you can approach. She takes the extra time if you're struggling with something. She's just like another coach out there. And obviously you have to gain respect of your teammates. A lot of freshmen are not known for starting or playing, let alone playing at a prestigious role as a point guard. And definitely, I just had to earn a lot of my teammates' trust and respect over the summer and, of course, during the season. But, the leadership role, it just comes in with your skill level and, like, how you think basketball-wise, and not even just in sports, but, like, outside, are you somebody that's approachable? Are you somebody they can talk to easily and things like that? But Jack really did help me coming within the season, yeah.
So just more of like just kind of sit back, get to know me a little bit, and like you're not trying to like to force anything. You kind of
I'm not trying to force anything or be the loudest of the bunch because people are not necessarily used to that, and you don't want to give people the wrong opinion.
Yeah. Even though because I get caught in this sometimes. My personality kind of big and bombastic, and it can. It's a lot for people at first.
Yes. So you just got to know how to approach people because sometimes it can rub people the wrong way, but sometimes that's just your personality.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is it like playing for Coach Tunga? Because we've talked to him a little bit with the broadcast and like post games and stuff. But what is he like as a coach? Is he more of like a more like rah-rah, or is he like calm and collected? I'm curious, like what playing for him is like.
Yeah, I love playing for Tungay. Our practices are very they can be intense. He's very calm and collective. He's not necessarily a yeller, but if we're not doing anything right, he's gonna get to strict talking. Ladies, we need to pick it up and things like that. I think the best thing that I love playing with him is that you're not gonna catch him out of his element, and I feel like that's what goes back to him coaching for as long as time as he did in men's and in different sports and things like that. Sometimes, when your leaders get out of focus, sometimes it gets the team rattled, and he always keeps that calm, balanced measurement that I feel like everybody needs to experience when playing collegiate basketball.
Yeah, for me, it's always exciting. It's always awesome to hear, like, because there's so many different ways to coach people, many different ways to do the same job. Because for me, when I was swimming at Dakota, just from the nature of it, the coaches have to be loud, just so you can actually hear them.
Yeah.
But it's like that's for the most part that kind of coaching style. But hearing basketball, calm, cool, and collected. For the most part, the men's coach Campy, he's sort of like that, but his hair can light on fire sometimes.
Yes.
But I just always love to know what it's like from the players' side. So for you, learning, so you come, like I always come back to you coming in as a freshman. What was it like, playing a D1 sport, but then also having to learn the college life? Balancing the athletics and the academics.
Yeah, balancing both. I've always been, I've always gotten my job done in the classroom. So I knew that wasn't going to be an issue for me. And like socially, I've always been, like out and about, some people know me, some people don't. I never struggled like social life or academically. I think it was just, a smooth translation. Like it wasn't really that big of a deal for me, honestly. I feel like more, being out more because you don't see people for 8 hours a day like you do in high school. So like it's important to go to functions and meet and see new people so they can see you and you can see them. But yeah, I did like the translation, honestly. The transition.
Well, that's not usually the answer I hear, because and it's awesome that that's your answer. But for like I've had here, I'm gonna plug another episode. Markel Williams from OU Track and Field. Go watch that episode. He came here from Florida.
Yes.
And like kind of moving so far away from home is like such a rattle. But even him, like he had the kind of same experience of just kind of business as usual. It's just he just happened to be in cold weather.
Yes.
But yeah, because for me, I've never been far away from home.
Yeah.
The farthest I've ever traveled, like I don't go out of the state very often. The most west I've gone is Kalamazoo. So for me, like staying close to home is important to me. So I'm wondering, like, how important is it for you to kind of stay close to home? Like we were saying, like you can't, Macomb's home.
Yeah. It definitely was important for me going in the recruiting process, because while I was being recruited, there were a lot of coaching changes all around D1 basketball. And like, you just want to make sure that while you're dealing with all this, all of these new things thrown at you, you're close to home so you can also have that type of support. Being close to home, it definitely is a huge plus and bonus for me, and that's something that I really appreciate.
Well, Oakland's very happy to offer it.
Yes.
So I want to move to how this season went. So I'm obviously, I mentioned it at the beginning, first Golden Grizzly to be Horizon League Freshman of the Year.
Yeah.
So for this season, for you, first season in Division I basketball, like how, like as a whole, like what did you think of this season? Obviously, you've done well, but from your perspective, like how did the season go?
I definitely enjoyed the season. I loved the season. I loved what I was a part of, and I definitely think that we did a good job as a team. We did have a lot of new faces, a lot of new people, and sometimes, it can either go good or it can go bad, and I feel like we were at the middle of it, but I know next year we're definitely going to put on a show.
So going forward next season, I'm curious, what does the off-season look like for you guys?
The off-season, we have a lot of international players, so I know that they were excited to get home, and I know everybody's working out, doing what they're supposed to do. I know the coaches are getting plans together for us to come back in the summer, and yeah, I'm just excited.
So for this kind of like April, May, is it more like work out on your own, or is it more organized by the coaches?
Like we do have a lot of workout, not a lot, but we do have workouts with our coaches, you know, like as far as the NCAA rulings can go, but a lot of us shoot after, you know, they shoot when they can. I do see a lot. I saw a lot of them in there when I was in there. So yeah.
So yeah, you guys are just like kind of trying to keep the ball rolling, because I know, like, you know, you go through a whole season and, you know, you need a couple of weeks, but then you can't wait too long. You got to keep going.
Because basketball is a very demanding and a long sport, so you can't be away too long because that repetition matters. Yeah. So yeah.
So for you winning Freshman of the Year, what did that mean to you when it was announced? Like, what was your reaction to it?
It meant a lot to me. When I found out, I was told, and I was just like, wow, like, you know, sometimes you just feel like you're a part of a movie, but I actually set that goal for myself. I want to say the end of my senior year in high school.
Really?
Yeah. I knew what type of player I was going to be, and I knew what I could bring to the team. I just needed to know what the summer was going to be like. Yeah. You know, you can always, you know, I have this plan, but you never know what it is until you really get in there.
Exactly.
And yes, I set that goal. I told my mom, I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can help, you know, be a huge part in winning at Oakland. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to make a difference as soon as I got there. And it just meant a lot to me. And not only did it mean a lot to me, but I just wanted to represent Oakland as well.
So, and you won six honors for Freshman of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, by the time the season was over, I'm like, oh, she's got this wrapped up. Like, set an Oakland record for that many honors. So, as the season went on, and you went, I think it went 3 or 2 weeks straight of Freshman of the Week. So, as the season went on, did you kind of get the feeling that you were kind of locked in for that? Or?
I really was not worried about winning Freshman of the Year. I was more worried about winning with my team and making sure that we could, you know, get certain spots for the playoffs. And, you know, I wanted to go deep in the playoff run. I mean, it did cross my mind, but that wasn't, you know, my main goal. That wasn't what I was really concerned of. Yeah. So
when you guys faced Wright State in the playoffs, you guys didn't make it. So for, like, what was the team, what was the locker room like, you know, being knocked out in the playoffs?
It was definitely, you know, sadness because our seniors were leaving, frustration, and just a lot of, like, what ifs were in the air because we all knew we could have played better. We all knew we could have possibly won that game, and it's just like when it's really over, that's just what it is. Yeah. And I just feel like a lot of people use that as momentum and, you know, another push for, like, you know, the postseason and this season coming forward.
So what are your goals for this season coming forward? Like, do you have any personal goals, or are they more like team-centric goals?
I feel like as a basketball player, you have to have personal goals because at the end of the day, before you come to a team, you do have to excel yourself individually. Personally, I do want to become a better three-point shooter. I do want to become, you know, a better facilitator for my team. And I just want to change, you know, bring a more dominant approach to my game. But for the team, I do want to produce and help us win. I want to win.
One last question. This one just kind of came to my mind. During our broadcast when we were covering you guys, when I would be doing play-by-play, our color commentator would always mention that, like, when you had the mask on, something was different.
Yes.
So did you feel that when you had the face shield on?
I definitely felt that, but at the end of the day, that is the lion in me, so...
So it's more of you, not necessarily the mask.
Yes.
Well, what's the line? If you're nothing without the mask, then you shouldn't wear it at all.
Yes, they do say that.
Well, Brooke, this has been a fantastic interview. I'm gonna have to cut it at this point here, but I'm really appreciative of you coming on to the GioMoShow for an interview. First female guest on the GioMoShow.
Thank you for having me. I don't want to admit it, but it's true. Oh, we got to change that. We got to get more females on here.
Definitely.
You know,
I'm making calls. I'm fishing.
The softball team, they just won, you know, the league. The swim team. Come on, we got to make it happen.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Me and my team, me, myself, and I, we're working on it.
Okay, I love to see it happen. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
And as always, you can tune into the rest of the JoMo Show later today. We'll begin your OU weekly sports update that I need to catch up on the past week on. And we'll see you on WXOU Thursdays at 6 for the JoMo Show.